My name is Lily Greenwald, born Friedman in Kapusany in Czechoslovakia. We were 6 children and my mother. My father died when I was 3 years old. But when the war broke out, they came and take us 3 girls. First Seder evening in 1942, straight to Auschwitz. But they let me back home to go, not from Auschwitz, but from the city where they make us together, gathering. They let me go home because I was only 15. So I came home, but they took me back Pesach and straight to Auschwitz. And 2 weeks later, they take my parents, and that was Shavuos. Because they always took people, Jewish people from the start, only on Shabbos or Yom Tov. Because they knew that time they find us home. And they find out what they are doing. So they had to change it, and we didn't know after that when they will come or what they will doing. And when I came to Auschwitz, one girl from next to the village in city, she passes and she sweeps. And she says, Lily Friedman, don't look at me and don't say nothing. Your sisters are here. We'll find out which building are you, will find it out, and we get you out from there so you can be all 3 together. I was only 15, so they put me in children group. One day I came home, about 10 days later, I said to my sister, I don't want to go back because I missed you, I want to be with you. And they told me it's very hard. I said, I don't care. So they took over to say, okay, we are 2, we put you in the middle and we help you. That next day, they took all the girls straight to chimney. So that's how I was safe, because I didn't want to be away from my sisters. Thank God gave us that each time one sister only was sick. So one sister went sick, the third one, the 2 from the side help you to work the field, what we were doing. And I was sick. And the same thing my sister did, one on one side, other on the other side. And I would just follow it. And then one day the assessment came and he saw what's going on. And we said, we are working. Because I was in the middle, I was sick, and they did my share, and he saw that. He came and he gave me 1 over my behind, excuse me, and I screamed, and he left me and went. My sister helped me out, and I got out of that problem. So when came Pesach, the girl, when she was from, she would bring something for Pesach, matzah, grain, things like that, what they got from their suitcases. We got together and we had the blankets. We made the around walls, so nobody could see we are doing Seder. And that's how we lived for 3 years. But by third year, we didn't get that matzah no more. We were in Auschwitz for 3 years. They were taking first time older girls, the first girls who were in Auschwitz the first month and work in another place. Small factory to do clothing. After 6 months, they took us from place to place and we mostly live outside. And finally we came to Hamburg. One day they came and they said, okay, lunchtime was it, you come home. They meant the barracks where we stayed. After that, they gave us a loaf of bread, what usually was for 6 people, and some salami and some butter. And finally they come and say, okay, whatever you have, you come, we are taking to the train. We come in and they put us only about 50 people, but usually they put 100, 120 people in the train. And nice clean straw with the cover with mattresses. And we say, oh, what's going on? And they say, you are going to freedom. I say, yeah, we're going to freedom. We said that to the guy who was watching us, because it wasn't the assessment no more, but the lower grade of soldiers and older. And he says, no, no, you go to freedom. And we say, oh yes, we're not to freedom, you're going to kill us. And he says, no, believe me, you're going. Anyway, we didn't want to believe it. So he says, okay, I give up, I give up. We came to Denmark, and in Denmark, they welcome us with white bed sheets, with food and everything. Then we start to believe, yes.
My name is Goldie Garber. I was born in Hamburg, Germany in November 1937, and I was a hidden child. During the time of Kristallnacht, Hitler decreed that all Jews from Polish descent had to be transported back to Poland. My father, my uncles, my aunts, my cousins, my dear, dear grandparents were all deported to Poland. My mother, who was born in Germany and had an infant, was permitted to stay in Germany, to immediately make arrangements to smuggle to Belgium, where we had members of my father's family. We survived the grueling trip and stayed with relatives in Antwerp, Belgium. After a while, my father smuggled out of Poland. The situation, however, became very bad in Antwerp by 1940. And so we decided to move on to Brussels and go into hiding. We heard that it was a little bit safer there. And we rented a 2-room, 5th-floor attic. By 1941, there were many Gestapo raids in our neighborhood. And so my parents placed me in different children's farms, supported during that time by the underground resistance. I remember crying a lot and being very, very, very frightened. By 1942, all the Jews in Brussels were in terrible, terrible danger. And my parents realized that they had to be given away for good. My mother found a well-to-do family, a Gentile family, and that was recommended by the underground, and they had no children of their own. To this day, I still have a vision of my father, Aleh Shalom, crying and sobbing, unable to let me go. I was 4 years old. Mommy and Papi Van Dam were my new parents. They named me Monique. They were very good to me. And they hung a cross around my neck and sent me to school where nuns taught me to be a good Catholic. Inside the lining of my coat, my mother sewed in labels with written names and addresses of families, just in case we never saw each other again. Before she left me with the Van Dams, she constantly reminded me of my Jewishness and not to forget my real mother and my real father. Unfortunately, my parents stayed hidden in the attic. They were imprisoned with the rest of the people, the rest of the Jews in the building, and they were all taken in a transport car and transported to a camp named Malin. It was outside of Belgium, where they made Jewish people ready to be transported to Auschwitz. The American troops came to Belgium first. They were there liberating Belgium from the Nazis in late 1944. So that's when they came to Malin. The night before they were supposed to go on the transport to Auschwitz. The first place they went was to the Van Dams, and they wanted to have me back. And of course the Van Dams just didn't want to. But after all was said and done, they agreed. And then my parents took me home, and we were finally a family once again. And we were still living on the 5th floor in that little apartment with the bathroom outside, when there was a very, very heavy rain. And the rain damaged the ceiling, and a little hole appeared. So my father had an idea, and he went to the hole, and he enlarged the hole to about like a whole big circle, and he decided that this was going to be our sukkah. And so he told my mother, please prepare for Yom Tov, and let's invite all the Jewish people in the house and have a simcha. And the best part was that we pushed our table right under the hole, and my dear, dear father, Olav Shalom, made the most beautiful kiddush in the whole world. We were finally able to come to America in 1949. I was 11 years old. My dear mother is residing in her 100th year at the Riverdale Home for the Aged. And we can visit her every day with all these children and all my grandchildren and my in-law children and my children. And every once in a while she talks about the Holocaust. I truly and in my heart believe that we were blessed. We were blessed because everyone in life goes through difficult experiences, but we were blessed.
I was born in August of 1922 in Svalava, Czechoslovakia. I was 15 years old in 1938 when Czechoslovakia was dismembered. A few months later, the Germans occupied Czechoslovakia and sent the Jewish boys out to the front to pick mines. And they stepped on mines and they got killed. 20 and a half years old, I had to go in already to the forced labor camp. Then one day, my Pesach of 1944, my sister sends me a card from a Munkac, from a ghetto, in a brick factory. And she says, we are here, and they brought us here, and they told us to take for 3 days food supplies. And we brought it, we ate it up, and we have nothing anymore. So I asked the elderly sergeant in our group, he was a nice guy, Hungarian. I asked him, can I send a package? He says, yeah. And I bought it right there from the canteens. And I bought a box of marmalade, a big box of marmalade, and a salami, and I packed it up, and I took a chance and I sent it there. After the war, I found out that they got it. I didn't think that they were going to get it. They brought us to Budapest and dismantled the whole transport, the whole army was dismantled completely, and we told us we were on our own. So we went to in Budapest on the streets, and I saw Wallenberg there giving out papers to anybody that wants the papers. You are a Swedish citizen if you take the paper and all that. And I looked around, and I had a friend of mine that was with me. Went away to someplace for a soup, and I went to follow him. I followed them there, and that was a trap. I got in there, and they brought us out of Budapest, and we saw about 20,000 Jews out on the outskirts of Budapest. The Arrow Cross were pulling the Jews by the hair, bringing them to the Danube and shooting them and throwing them in the Danube. And we were going with the Nazis. They brought us there, and we came there, we saw 10,000 or 20,000 Jews there gathered together, and they threw us in that group, and the Nazis along with us, and they started to drive us and walking onto Austria. We walked 5 days and 5 nights, 20,000 Jews, and anybody that slowed down was shot. We came to Szombathely. We were so thirsty and dry, dehydrated and hungry, and the women came out with pails of water, the Hungarian women, and they said, "Poor Jews, you must be thirsty. We brought out some water for you." And we thought they were giving us water, and they poured it out in front of us. So we got into Austria and sent us to work in places, and we put us in a big silo, 500 people. But one German officer was walking by while we were digging there, and he dropped a bread, and he said to us, "Eat it up there." And he was a stormtrooper, and he told us in German that he is an American citizen. He came for furlough, he came for a vacation to Vienna in 1938, before the war, and he was trapped. He couldn't go back, so he had to join the stormtroopers. And he threw on the bread, and he says, "Eat it up quickly." They gathered us together, and they brought us back to Wiener Neustadt and the whole group. And there was a boat on the Danube, a river boat, and they put the two gangplanks there, and they told us to go onto the boat on those gangplanks. And they were black uniformed, those skeleton head SS troopers waiting there with dogs. And as we were walking up those gangplanks, they were so narrow. Anybody that was a little older than in the 30s and 40s, and they couldn't make it. They were falling off. And if you didn't run fast enough, they shot you. And they fell into the Danube. And the Danube was full of Jewish blood. And they disembarked us. We came off the boat. We walked off, and they marched us through the town of Linz to Mauthausen. They took us, it was overfilling. They were bringing from Auschwitz, they were bringing back, the Auschwitz was already liberated by the Russians, or if it wasn't liberated, it was being evacuated. So they evacuated them to Germany. Instead of letting them go, they evacuated them to Germany. So they brought men and women, and they overfilled Mauthausen, brought us in there, and they pushed us in the barracks. And there was a room for maybe for 200 people. They pushed in 2,500 people into a barrack, so that we were standing next to each other like sardines. We couldn't sit, we couldn't, and if you slid down, if you couldn't stand anymore and you slid down, you fell on dead people, and you were sitting on them, and they weren't cleaned out or anything. And then once I see the Americans dropped by accident, whether by accident, I don't think they did it deliberately. They dropped a bomb there, and in the outside and the yard, we didn't all stay in the tents, we walked out. They dropped a bomb, and a lot of people were torn to pieces. And the people that were running around were grabbing and eating. And I kept on saying, it's Jewish flesh, don't eat, it's Jewish flesh. And we started to scream, no matter how hungry you are, you can't do it. And So, and being I learned in the yeshiva and all that, and I said to myself, here the Tochach is coming through, which was the curse of the Tochach, which we read once a year. And I didn't think that would ever happen and ever will happen in my lifetime, anything like that.
We never thought we come out from there alive. See, the next morning we arrived, one of these blockaders stood up and was telling us, you don't know what's happening here. You will never see your parents and your small children. You will never see again. When you went to a shower, they went to a shower which gas came out. And they all died there. And we didn't believe that. It's impossible. That's not possible that people could do that without no reason, just to kill people by the hundreds and hundreds. We didn't believe it. We thought that they are cruel and they scare us. And my name is Margaret Weiss. I was born in a very small town in Hungary in 1922, December 25th. We was a regular family in Hungary. I had 3 brothers and 2 sisters. We were 6 in the family. We were religious Orthodox people. And the last Pesach we was celebrating, and my father wanted to dress up the table beautiful like any other Pesach. We knew something is very bad going on. The German was already in Hungary, and rumors went all over that after Pesach something will happen. So we got ready for the Seder. We set the table beautiful. We put up the candlesticks and all the silver what we had for the holiday to celebrate the Yom Tov. And we celebrated the two Seders. We had 9 grandchildren, 2 sister-in-law, and my younger brother came home from the yeshiva for Pesach. So after Pesach, we got up early and we heard they made a big announcement on the main place that every Jew should stay in their house. So we was waiting and we knew it's something very bad will happen. So we saw from our window that not police but gendarmes with the black rooster, and we saw those people taking Jewish people with some bundles. We didn't know where they take them, so finally in the afternoon, looks like it was our turn, so they came to our house. We told us that we should leave all the jewelry, give it to them, all the jewelry we have, and we should take one change of clothing, and we could take some food for the evening. Anyway, we was there till the next afternoon, and they put us in cattle cars, empty cattle cars. Every cattle cars they put about 55 people, 55 people. So finally they locked all the cattle cars and the train started going. And in a few hours we got to in Hungary, a bigger city, where there was a ghetto. And they put us in a private home. They gave us one room for about 6 families, one room. And everybody had as much space as they can lay down like sardines. And we were spending the next night there. We stayed there about 4 weeks. After 4 weeks, they took us again in a cattle cars. We was traveling two nights and 2 days, and it was the Shavuos, the first day of Shavuos. The Erev Shavuos, we got into the cattle car, and my younger brother who was with us and my father. Was saying the broch for the moon. And then we tried to sleep, which we couldn't. And after 2 days and 2 nights, we arrived in Auschwitz, Birkenau. They opened up the cattle cars and they let us leave all our clothes and everything. Just get off from the cattle car and they took us they called it to take a shower. So we were selected out by Dr. Mengele. They took away from my older sister her 3 children, and they gave it to my mother because they didn't believe those children belonged to her. She was very young, 27. So she came in the camp with us, and the old people were selected to go on the other side. They took us to looked like a shower. We had to dress off, and men and women, they attend to us, they shaved us from head to toe. They shaved us our head and all over our body. We could hardly recognize each other, my sisters and us. We were all shaven. We hardly recognized ourselves. This is the way we spent the first night in Birkenau, Auschwitz. Bed made up from wood. There was no cover, there was nothing, just on the plain wood. Nobody could move. If one moved, then all the 6 people had to move together. And they gave us a slice of bread, and they told us this slice of bread has to last all day for you. And then they took us out every morning, so-called work. We had to cross a gate where it says with big letters, Arbeit macht frei. I don't know what was the use for the whole work. We was just carrying like grass blocks one place to the other all day. And then at night, 6 o'clock, they took us back to the camp. where they gave us one bowl of soup. It looked like we used to give us, I mean the peasant used to give us to the pigs. Pigs like not eatable for people, just for animals. So this was going on till I got sick. So they find out that I had paratyphus. And I had 2 weeks high fever. And somehow looks like I had to live. So I survived. I had no strength. And it was like end of December, middle of December. One day the German came and they said that dress up and come with us. If you don't come, then you die here. We dressed up, we went to the gate to go out from the place. Then we turned back because we didn't have the strength. So we went back to our bed and we said, okay, whatever it will be, we have to die, we can't walk. We was lucky because some people forced themselves and they got shot middle of the way. So we stayed there for about 10 days. Nobody was around. No Germans, no supervision, nobody was around. And people who had a little strength, they went out and they tried to bring some food, whatever they could find, which was very little. And if we were lucky, they throw us something to eat. But they themselves, they didn't have too much. So after about 10 days without anybody there, the Russian came and they liberated us. And they bought us huge plate of food the next morning. We couldn't even touch it. So we was lucky that we couldn't eat, so we survived too. People were very hungry and they ate the food, and in 2 weeks they all died from the too much food what they consumed, so they passed away one by one. So we survived because we couldn't eat. And then we are here in Los Angeles. We built a family. I have a daughter and a son. Beautiful family. They both have 3 children. And let's hope I will live a few more years and I will have nachas. I have 2 great-grandchildren now. One from my daughter's side and one from my son. And this is the way we build up, and looks like there is hope for the Jewish people. You can't ask no question what's going on because you don't find any answer anyway. Even if you ask a question, there is no answer. You don't see them anymore, and that's the end.